All right, everybody. Here is I've been wanting to see one of these for a while, and I decided, you know what? Funk it. Just going to go ahead and buy them. They're about 99 bucks on Amazon. I'm going to try to keep this one really quick. Just do a quick unboxing overview and a sharpness test. While I'm thinking of that, let me grab a slice of paper. All right. So what is it? I've been liking the integral knives. There's the James brand Barnes, but it's like a $650 titanium. And there's a couple Lion steels, which I already have one. I've got the slip joint. I forget what the damn name of this one is. It's M390 steel. It's a Maletta design, but it's a slip joint, but it's integral with the integral pocket clip, which is a great idea. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that well. It doesn't have enough of a nubbin on the end, so it slides out of your pocket like when you're laying on the floor. When you're walking around, it's okay. But anyway, and I really like, a lot of knives that are now using the Benchmade Axis lock or, things like that. So I've got some other samples of those out here. So I found a Real Steel that took one of my favorite locking mechanisms. I mean, I've been having fun with the CJRB Pyrite because it's just it's such a flicky knife and easy open and close and stuff like that. But the button lock, I always feel like if I'm really using the knife or doing something, my thumb could hit it and unlock it on my hand. So I really like that type of lock. It's just a really good lock. So this combines what I like about, this is just here for size comparison, what I like about the Axis type lock and what I like about the integral. So what does integral mean? It means it's not two slabs. Here you have slab, and it may just be G10 or might have metal underneath, but you basically have two halves that sandwich together around the blade and the pivot point, and you put some standoffs, and that, it can create a strong enough knife. This is one piece of aluminum. I got the aluminum, the aircraft grade T6 or T7, but they have one in titanium where they took a block of the metal and they mill it out. So they milled out the back spring here. So that's the spring, but the thing itself is one solid piece. So I like that. That's kind of cool. So Real Steel has one called the Sacra. Let's open it up. There's like a little Real Steel brochure, shows you how to disassemble. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it shows you, now this one says liner lock, which I don't think this one is. Maybe it's showing some other style. Okay, it's like a brochure. So that's what it is. So it's showing you liner lock, button lock, frame lock, and back lock. It's showing you how their knives come apart and how to reassemble it. That's really freaking cool, because sometimes you take it apart and the knife's a little different. You don't realize where all the spacers go or this or that or which stand, that's kind of cool. Warranty card, something. All right, and then wrapped in a little microfiber is the Sacra. So let's go through what it is. It is a little smaller than I thought, but it's probably right about kind of almost on par with that. All right, that's going to need to loosen up. That's okay, we can tighten that up. Yeah, we'll need to lube that pivot up and all that. So out of the box, action's not terrific. I'm kind of annoyed that they didn't lube it or anything like that, but that's okay. But it's $100 knife. These other knives are, these two knives are cheap. This is $145. This was, I think, two something. So those aren't cheap knives. But it is micarta. Where's that G10? That feels like, I think that's G10. No, it looks like micarta. That's micarta. It is, what kind of steel? K110, which I believe is basically D2. It's a nice, god damn, is that a pointy little blade. So that's nice. Edge feels fairly decent. We'll do a sharpness test. It's got a little bit of jimping on the back. No real finger choil. You could choke up a little bit, but not really that comfortable. So what this is it's integral, but it's not milled. And that's why it interests me. So they took stainless steel and they formed it around something. So the spine of the knife, you don't have to have a backspacer. So structurally, this is pretty damn strong. So you got standoffs where you need them. And then you've got the rest of it, it just kind of humps around that. So looking at this, the micarta looks pretty damn good. It's got nice enough texture to it. Pocket carries pretty deep clip, except the way you have that handle, very comfortable in a reverse grip. I mean, your thumb kind of follows that line really well. But it's going to have that tip just the tip peeking up above your pants. It's not horrible, but it's not as deep carry as if it was flat across there. But I guess that was the aesthetic they were looking for. I don't know what kind of blade you would call this. Not a harpoon. I'm not sure. There's a nice swedge on top. It's a real delicate point, which is going to be very piercy, but I wouldn't expect that tip is going to be as strong. You know, you wouldn't want to be sticking that in and doing any kind of prying. I think you could probably snap that tip off. But for an EDC, you probably, most people probably aren't doing that kind of stuff. The spring on the Axis style lock or slide lock is pretty good. There's no blade movement, so it's a good lockup. Really, the only thing that I'm kind of like on, and I'll just take it apart and clean the pivot and put a little bit of oil in there, is that the blade is not really loose. It's actually kind of gritty. So I think that just needs to be adjusted. I don't know if they're all like that. It snaps shut, the detent. Well, I guess it doesn't use a detent. It actually uses that lock. I mean, you can flick it, but it's not. Yeah, you're really having to go outboard. So I'm sure that'll loosen up. I mean, to be honest, here's the thing. This thing is wicked butter smooth now, but this Benchmade bug out wasn't a whole lot better than that. When I got out of the box, it was gritty, and it took a little while to smooth out. So did the SRM. Now, this is a $25 knife versus a $145 knife, but this had to smooth out, and now it's not quite as smooth as the whatchamacallit, but it's pretty smooth. I mean, that's pretty... Ain't nothing as smooth as that bad boy. This thing is awesome. I love this thing. It is just such a smooth, effortless knife. So this is nice. It's small. The edge of the pocket clip, it's not sharp, but you definitely feel a hot spot. On this edge is much more rounded, and it's a lot smoother. Like I said, it's not sharp, but it's at more of a 90-ish degree angle. It's not beveled as much. So it's not painful if I put my hand and I grip it, but I'm very mindful of that. I don't feel that one at all. It sits lower. It's just a better taper. For whatever reason, I don't feel that. I mean, I know there's something there, but I don't feel any discomfort. This, I feel like that corner right there, the way it flares out, that corner right there, I'm much more mindful of that. I think if I was doing a bunch of whittling, after a while, I'd be like, you know what, this is not really that comfortable. As a design, as just looking at the aesthetic, I mean, it's beautiful. The spacing's nice all the way around. It's consistent. Just enough detailing on the micarta. The micarta feels good. It's on the smaller side. You know, this is, it's, I guess, a 3.2 or something inch blade. Let's see what it says. Weight-wise, it's like 2.8 ounces, so it is a pretty light blade. It's, I guess, a 3.3 overall and a 3.1 cutting edge, which is going to be pretty close to that. Actually, the cutting edge is slightly more. This is a 3-inch blade, but it's only got a 2.75 inch. This one does have a little bit more on the handle. Notice I've got that there with a little bit peeking out. If I choke up on this, well, I guess it's about the same. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about it is that, and the fact that it's not flickable yet. I'm going to have to sit around and play with this. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble it off camera. I won't make you watch that. I'm going to go ahead and take this apart. The only thing is, when it's integral, how do you do that? Because the bushings are... So here's the downside to an integral. It's strong. It's a neat design. When you want to take this apart, you're not taking the scales off and then lifting each piece and taking the blade off and then the other, the other bearing. You have to kind of slide everything out. And depending on how tight this is, putting everything in and getting all your washers or your bearings and everything lined up, because as you slide the blade in, those things are going to want to move a little. So I'll be curious to see how this works. It can be done because they did assemble it. And obviously some of them can be taken apart and cleaned, but I have not done one myself. So I'm going to start with just taking a little bit of oil down in there. Where's my little, looking for that. Let's go ahead and see how sharp it is. Yeah. I won't say it's the sharpest knife I've ever had out of the box, but it will cut. Let's do a push test. No, not quite a push test. Yeah. I can strop that though. I might just tune the, yeah, see it tore there? Yeah, you know what? I gotta say, let me just grab my strap while I'm here and grab another slice of paper. It's not, I don't know if I'm gonna give this one a big thumbs up. Like, I kind of like the design, and other people have given it, you know, good reviews. I don't know that I'm feeling it. There's certain things about it that I do like. For sure. Actually, I need to get at a better angle, so I'll take this off camera. I'll just keep talking. So there's definitely things I do like about it. I like looking at it. I think the materials seem nice, but that pocket clip is a little bit uncomfortable in the hand. There's just something about the angle and the corner of it just pushes into the meat of the edge of my palm. So it's not the most comfortable knife in the world. What I may just do is put this on my Ken Onion Edition Work Sharp, which I have not done a review of that. I really need to do that because it's got like a 5,000 grit belt or something on it. I don't know if this will help at all. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's gliding through a little bit better. Still doesn't do the push test, but I mean, yeah, just needs a little stropping, just a little bit of cleaning up. Definitely not one of the sharper blades out of the box. It's okay, it's serviceable, but I've had some knives that were half the price, a third of the price, a quarter of the price that came out of the box, way tighter or way sharper, and had a nicer. Where the hell is my little tube of oil? Actually, it might be downstairs. I did a review recently downstairs. Probably where it is. I need the one that's got the pen, it's got the little needle, so I can get it in there and put the oil right where I want it. So I'm going to start with that, and if that doesn't loosen everything up, fidgeting with it on the couch, then I'll probably go ahead and take it apart, but I'm thinking that'll help. So, do I like it? I can say it's probably not going to make it high into my rotation. This will probably be a knife that I gift away to somebody. For $100, I don't feel like it's a $100 knife. The quality, like it seems like it's well built. The materials seem nice, but having that kind of gritty out of the box isn't impressing me. I mean, it's loosening up a little bit. The only thing that I'm trying not to ding it too much, because this knife, it's a Benchmade and it's a phenomenal knife. But out of the box, this thing didn't work all that well. I mean, I was not impressed. If you watch my original video of this, it was like, I like the size and the thickness and the, you know, the materials and the blade and stuff, but it wasn't operating like this. It wasn't all loosey-goosey. Even there, it's still not as good. I mean, none of them is as good as this thing. This thing is just so floppy. This one does open, and it's smooth now, but it's not as smooth. So, do I like it? Would I buy it again for $100? Would I recommend this to somebody for $100? No. I think there's better knives for the same money for sure. I mean, for $100, you can get into some of the Spydercos. You could be buying Delicas. You could buy Native 5 lightweight. There's a bunch of knives that are in that $90 to $110 range that you can pick up. But something about this edge right here, it's not sharp, but I feel like it could have been beveled and cleaned up a little bit better. So when you're holding the knife here, it's really this damn pocket clip. Now, if you want to get rid of the pocket clip, then that might make, I mean, and you're just going to have it in your pocket instead of on a clip, that would get rid of the discomfort of the handle. It's really that edge right there. If you can see that edge, it's not biting into my hand, but I'm very, very aware of it. So between the action, as far as the design, the aesthetic, the integral part, everything else, it's beautiful. It's a nice knife. But I think when you feel that action out of the box, maybe you're willing to live with it because maybe it'll break in just like a Benchmade kind of has to break in. But that pocket clip, to me, that's the kind of piece that's almost unforgivable. So I may look at other knives. I mean, I'm looking at the spacing of the screws. That looks, honestly, that looks a lot like my CJRB. But for some reason, when you run your finger over it, I feel that edge right there, and I just don't feel it that much on this. There's something different about it. That is not uncomfortable at all. That kind of is. So if you're just opening it once or twice to open a package, whatever. But another thing I'm noticing is with these pieces here, it's thin. Here, it butts up against that. So this is a wide area. As I'm fidgeting with this and I'm putting pressure with it against this and doing things, that edge is very thin. And again, it's not deburred that well. And you see how that kind of sticks beyond the end there? It just creates this point. It's a shame because it's a really cool knife that I think will loosen up and break in like my Benchmade. But that pocket clip, I think I'm going to remove that and carry this in the pocket like a pocket knife and not advertise that I have it. Clips are nice, but that pocket clip really sucks. No matter what I'm doing, the way that edge comes out almost like perpendicular to like a point. I think that's what it is. If this had a rounded edge where this wasn't sticking out, but that edge right there, you see that? When you're looking at it from here, it's kind of perpendicular. I think if it was following that, it wouldn't bother me. But that edge sticking out at a point, normally your hand's kind of laying across the type. Here you're pushing on that edge. And it's right in here. And I can still feel my palm just from fidgeting with it. I'm like, it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't feel nice. So we're going to take that off and we're going to oil it and break it in. And I think we're just going to carry this, if I carry this knife. It's just because it's a nice little knife. It's like a good size for EDC. It's very small. It's light. It's lighter than this. It's heavier than the Benchmade. This is 1.85 ounces. I think this is 2.65. So it's an ounce heavier, but that's still sub 3, under 3 and under 2. I'm sorry, it's under 3, but it's closer to like 2 3/4 ounces. What I don't like is that clip. That clip is absolutely coming off. That clip sucks. Just the placement. If this wasn't going to a point and it was rounded so that this was recessed, I don't know. I mean, this one's recessed. I think it's because it's cocked at an angle relative to that edge. Here, it just, I don't know, you don't even feel it. You don't even notice it. Every time I pick this up, I'm like, eh. And when you're holding it like this to flick it and then you're moving it and gripping it, that point just pushes in. It's just, like I said, it's not painful, but it doesn't feel good. You're just, I don't know how else to say it. I've said it 3 times or 5 times or 10 times now. You're just very aware of that, and it just sort of digs into your hand a little bit. So maybe if you have tiny hands, you wouldn't notice it. But look how my hand just swallows this knife. And so I'm very keenly aware of that. I am going downstairs to get my little tool, and that shit is coming off, and we'll see if it improves. I'll maybe do a follow-up video on this. But right now, not impressed. Just not impressed. That edge feels, you hear it. There's a little bit of grabbiness there. I mean, if I were to take a thumbnail, I could probably shave a little bit of it. It's not sharp enough to ever cut you, but that is not a well-beveled edge. Now, what I may do is when I take this off, I'll have access to that edge. And what I may do is just take a file or something and just once or twice, just knock the edge off of that, and do the same on this side. Just lightly knock the edge off with a fine like diamond file, and just kind of and just get that off and see if that helps. And then maybe even do the same on this. But that clip's coming off. If I carry this is going to fit in a pocket knife, and it's fine because a lot of knives, my Bokers, my Cattleman knife, my any of my Swiss Army knives, my Rough Rider Reserves, those are all pocket knives. They don't have clips. No, they're traditional knives. My Great Eastern Cutleries, my cases, they all just sit in the whatchamacallit, in the pocket. So that's okay. It'll make it a little smaller, take a tiny little bit of weight off of it, and it'll make it more comfortable. It just won't have a pocket clip. And if that blade breaks in and it starts getting loose after I oil it and kind of work it in, then I might actually carry that. I think once you get rid of the crappy pocket clip, it's shit. Sorry, guys, it's shit. The rest of it, I like, so long as it breaks in. So I'll do a longer term review of this. We'll do a revisit real quick and see if in a couple weeks, what happened with this. But that grittiness, I mean, look at that. It's supposed to be on bearings, I think. Pretty sure this is supposed to be on bearings. Maybe it's washers, but it's just not doing anything. And you can see the gap there. This rides along that. It's not having any friction from the spring and that, but it's just not free floating. It's not. Whereas if I came to here, see, it just wants to fall on its own just from gravity. I'm not having to do anything. And this isn't even on bearings. This is on washers. So anyway, right now on a scale of on a 5-star, because of that pocket clip and because of that, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. It's okay. And maybe I'll get bumped up to a 4 if the braid breaks and the bearings get smooth. But that pocket clip is automatically dinging it. To me, it's useless. I don't like using it. My hand is uncomfortable. So, all right, we'll stop babbling now. We'll talk to you guys soon, and I'm gonna strop it some more so I can get that edge a little finer.